Nicolette sat on the carpet, her skirt fanned out around her. The fire softly crackled before her. She'd usually never sit so close to the flames, but the house had become quite chilly. A storm was raging outside. The branches of the tree tapped on the windows and leaves clung to the glass. Regardless of the rather eerie surroundings, Lady Nicolette had a large smile on her lips. Her eyes were glued to the leatherback book resting on her lap. She was halfway through the 280-page story. The suspense rattled her, and she audibly gasped at the romantic tension between her new favorite characters. Nicolette kept telling herself, one more page, and then she'd go get ready for bed. Yet, the pages continued to turn and she stayed in place. "I hope you are not waiting for the rain to clear up." Ernest scolded softly. "I've already called the casters. They've moved the dinner to tomorrow." "That is all right," she said as she turned the page. "I much rather stay in tonight." He draped a blanket over her shoulders. Without looking away from her book, Nicolette smiled when he kissed her cheek. Ernest sat the teacup and saucer beside her on the carpet. "You've been reading since you returned home. I hope that gossip hasn't tainted your mind." Nicolette's hair nearly fell from the pins keeping it up. She snapped her head around to look at him so fast a pin fell. "I'll have you know, I didn't purchase the same book as the other ladies. Annabelle seemed excited to read it, but I just felt wrong about it. As you should. Indulging in a story of a woman's passing in childbirth is horrendous." Her eyes softened as she looked at him. They never spoke of Ernest's previous wife. He told Nicolette enough to calm her curiosity, and they left it as that. She sometimes wondered if he would even want to try for another child. Lady Nicolette lifted her book as she shook off the thought. He peeked at the cover before sitting back in his rocking chair by the fireplace. "Frankenstein, or the modern Prometheus? Myths and folklore have piqued my wife's interest." She happily sighed, holding the book to her chest. "The story is quite entertaining. I think you would enjoy it." "Why do you presume that?" "There is fantasy and self-discovery. I do not fantasize, and I know exactly who I am. The writing is so alluring. You can almost see it if you close your eyes." Lord Ernest listened to her with a raised brow. He sipped his tea, a loud slurp to mock her enthusiasm. "Of course, there's also the warnings of the male ego," she went on. "His need to accomplish more than anyone else." Ernest's expression turned serious, stern. "I do hope that was not a comment towards me." "Not at all," she giggled. "Your ego is untouchable. And we both know your greatest accomplishment was capturing my heart." He subtly rolls his eyes, a soft grin playing on his lips. "What is the tale truly about? A man has used machines and random parts to create a life. But everyone else has deemed the new creation a monster. I am currently at the part where the townspeople have expressed their fright of the creator. I believe they are preparing to kill him. I never understood a person's fright for new things. This is coming from a man who detests dinner parties." He glared. "Dinner parties are not new. And I do not detest them. I simply do not enjoy being the one to host them." "Yes, well, luckily you have me. I do all the hosting work, and you are the pretty face on my arm." He tried not to, but a smirk appeared on his face. "While I don't agree with that last part, it has been a nice change. And as far as your book, I do not agree with producing a creator in a laboratory. A new life should be created the old-fashioned way. Toying with what gods want is not natural." Lady Nicolette giggled. "And what, pray tell, is the old-fashioned way? You speak so fondly of it. You must know a thing or two." His cheeks flushed and he tugged at his collar. "Sometimes I forget I married a woman with such a sharp tongue and wit to match. I thought that was exactly why you married me. Among other reasons." Ernest climbed out of his chair to sit beside her on the carpet. "This novel seems rather dark." "I suppose it is. A little." She shivered at the chill. He adjusted the blanket around her. "And you continue to read it?" She smiled and nodded. "Are you trying to get scared?" Lady Nicolette pondered his words for a moment. "No. But I do not plan on stopping my reading until the book is finished. You are a puzzle to me, Lady Nicolette. That's what makes things more exciting, my lord." Despite the chill in the air, his neck and face felt warm. "I suppose I should read with you. So you are curious? At least to get a better understanding of the nightmares you will be awakening me with tonight." He shifted closer, wrapping them both in the blanket. She giggled at his remark and leaned back against him. Nicolette turned back to the first page. His breath was warm on her cheek as he read aloud the words on the page. They both took turns reading a page out loud to each other. Lady Nicolette playfully changed her voice for different characters. Ernest kept his usual deep, monotone voice as he read. Back and forth they went, hardly reaching the second chapter without yawning. The book soon hung from Nicolette's hands as they slept. Nicolette had turned and nestled into his neck. Ernest had his chin resting on top of her head. A violent chill passed through the room, and he stirred awake. The fire had flickered out without them tending to it. He gently stood, cradling the sleeping heiress in his arms, and carrying her off to bed.